Hope you guys are doing well. I'm very happy to be here. And let's see who is here. Let's see who is here. Welcome everyone to your English class. We are going to talk about hypothetical situations. We're going to talk about imaginary situations. And we will use the conditional, right? The conditionals. If, right? There are many conditionals. There's a zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. Today, we are going to master the second conditional. So let's say hello to everyone. Let's welcome everyone to the chat wherever you are. Say hello and introduce yourself. Maria88 is the first one here. All right, fantastic, guys. Very good to see you. Very happy to be here. And we are going to have a great class. So let's jump into it. All right, let's jump into it. So if you don't know me, I'm David, your favorite teacher. I'm a polyglot, an educator, and I love learning languages, and I love to share my knowledge. I love to share what I know because, sharing is caring, right? And we got to, if we have something of value, then it's important that we share it. It gives you a lot of joy when you share, when you give the best that you have. All right, so if you are here, yes, hi Micah, hi Maria from Spain, welcome, you are here. Now, if this is your first time, join the WhatsApp community. This is your invitation. That's where you get all the amazing games, activities, weekly challenges, exclusive content that I don't share on social media platforms. We have a speaking club, Zoom lessons, direct access to me. Questions, whatever you want, it's in the WhatsApp community. Right? So I have 20 something social media accounts. It's hard to keep track of everything. It's hard to respond to everyone. But if you join the WhatsApp community, and that's reserved for serious learners, then you get the latest news, the latest content, all the links, all the invitations. So that's the best way to get the results, to get the best results. All right. So that is it. So join, everyone on Instagram, everyone on YouTube, on Facebook. Join the WhatsApp community. That is your invitation. This is your invitation, and join us. All right, so second conditional. This is the topic. All right, so just to test where you are, I always like to start the lesson with an assessment. I want to know where you are, right? Are you, is this new for you? Do you understand how this works? So, as a pre-assessment, which one is correct? I would be more careful if I were you, or I were more careful if I were you. A or B. All right, so choose the correct one, guys. Abdullah is here from Saudi Arabia. We have some people from Finland, Spain, Saudi Arabia. We got so many people. Okay, remember everyone, if you are on Vimeo, don't put the answer in the chat. Okay, we want to make sure that we don't give everyone the answer, right? So if you're in class, if you're in the private class, which is a separate chat, don't write the answer in the chat because then your classmates will know the answer. So you're pretty much giving points, right? You're giving them free points. All right, guys. All right, so we are here. We are here. All right. No worries. No worries. It's all good. So, I would be more careful if I were you. Now, how do you know that you have a conditional? What's the key word? Tell me in the chat, what's the key word? So conditional comes from condition. Right, so what's the word? It's a word with two letters that tells you you have a condition. Right. And let's see, 5 points to the first person who can give me the keyword that tells you a sentence is in the conditional. All right, 5 points. Let's get our points, guys. If you're in class, then make sure you're earning as many points as possible. All right. Very nice. Very nice. So, what is the two-letter word? Yes, Maria88. Maria88 on Instagram is the first one. Right? No, it's not two. It's not two. It's if. So, if is the word that tells you it's a condition. Right? So, it's a condition. If this, then this. There's two parts to the condition. If this is true, then this is true. If this happens, this happens. So it's a condition. You need two elements, right? And then the two elements work together. So that's what a condition means. For example, you can tell someone, hey, the conditions, if you arrive late, right, this happens, right? That's kind of like the consequence of that. So conditions means you have two parts, and those two parts, right, have a relationship to each other, right? A connection between them. Very good, Abdullah. Very nice. All right. So fantastic. Fantastic. So here, let's look at the structure. Now, this is basic. So the second conditional has the if, which is the key word. Then it's the past simple. Past simple. Right? If I played, if I had, if I studied, if I traveled, right? If I won $1,000,000, then would. I would, and then the base word. The base verb is the verb without the to. Right? If I had $1,000,000,000, I would give all of my students $100. If I had $1,000,000,000, no, actually, if I had $1,000,000,000, I would give all my students $1,000. But I don't have $1,000,000,000, so I can give you a lesson. I can give you okay. So, very nice, Abdullah. Good sentences. Okay, try this out. If he won the race, okay, that's a good one. So if plus past simple. If he won the race, he would be happy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So let's see if we can get some conditionals right on Instagram. Let's see, guys. All right. So this is an imaginary. You have to imagine. The second conditional is for situations that are imaginary. They're not right. They're not real in the sense that you're saying, well, if I had $1,000,000,000, well, I don't have $1,000,000,000, but if I had, so you're dreaming, right? You're kind of dreaming that you have $1,000,000,000. All right. So that's it. All right. That is it. So maybe try some of these second conditionals, right? And then let's look at this note. This is an important note, right? Because was changes to were for all subjects, informal or standard English. So people say, if I was the president, people say it, but it's technically not correct, right? It's not correct. If I were president, if I were, right, the CEO of the company, I would implement these steps. If I were, if you were, if you were fluent in English, if you were able to live anywhere in the world, where would you live? If you were fluent in English, what would uh, what would change in your life, right? So you're imagining it, right? It hasn't happened yet, right? It could happen, but it hasn't. So remember, we don't say was, we say were. All right, that's the note right here. Okay, and it's formal and standard. So people say if I was, and it's modern English and is has accepted it. Right, so it is accepted. It's just not formal or standard. Right. So what would you do if you found a suitcase full of money on the street? Or what did you if you would find a suitcase full of money on the street? Imagine this, guys. Imagine this. You're walking on the street and there is a big, big suitcase full of cash sitting there. Nobody is watching. Nobody's there. Nobody will ever know. What would you do? All right, guys. So choose the correct option, A or B. A or B. All right. So, all right. Hi. Hi, comment. Welcome. Welcome. So here, two part. First, choose the correct option. What would you do if you found a suitcase full of money? Or what did you if you would find a suitcase full of money on the street? All right. So think about it. Think about it. There's no name on the suit. There's no name on the suitcase. You don't know who it belongs to. It's just there. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Right there. What would you do? That's a question to consider. That is a question to consider. So the correct option is A, of course. What would you do if you found a suitcase full of money on the street? Now, here's the trick. You can change the order, but you can't change. If always needs to be followed by the past simple. So you can't say if you would find. Some people say it, it's not right. If you found $1 million, if you found $1 million in a suitcase, what would you do? Right. What would you do if you found a suitcase full of money? Right, so now you can answer, but I want you to answer in a full sentence. If I found $1,000,000, if I found a suitcase full of money, I would blah, blah, blah. What would you do? Would you, call the police and give it to the police? Would you keep it? Right? What would you run away? Would you not touch it? Some people say the best thing is don't even touch it. Don't, run away because you don't even know. You don't know if there's something there, if there's maybe a tracker, right? And some people say don't even touch it, just run away. Other people say no, call the cops and tell them. Other people say just take the money and run. What would you do? Mm, Ooh, okay. Okay. So we got some smart people in the chat. A lot of people are saying here, some people say, you need to take it and run. Other people say you have to take the suitcase to the police, right? So you can get a reward. If you take it to the police, you'll get a reward, right? They'll say, hey, you know, here's $1. Here's $1 for your hard work. Just keep, you know, they'll give you a tip, just a tip right here. So if my dogs were alone, they would be sad. That is a correct sentence. That's correct. That's not incorrect. So good job, guys. All right. If you are on Instagram and you're joining us, what would you do? Sylvia Garcia says, I will run away. I would run away. So if I found $1,000,000, I would run away. Right? Some people say that's the smartest thing to do. Right? Because maybe if you give it to the police, well, you can also, maybe the money belonged to some dangerous guys and they don't want you to take it to the police because they made it illegally. So if you take it to the police, you think you're helping, but you're not really helping. Actually, they're mad. They're angry that you took it to the police. Now, that is probably the, the moral thing to do, probably, right? But you never know. That's a tough question. The IRS, yes, the Internal Revenue Service, right? So you don't know if it's clean money, right? It may not be clean money. So, right, if you try to do the right thing, which is to turn it in, you might actually be making some people very mad. All right. Good. There shouldn't be. So everyone, question, is the video feed breaking up? Is it breaking up or is it smooth? Yes. All right, guys. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's move on to the next slide. Next slide. If I was taller, if I were taller, I probably would play. I would probably play, or I probably would play. A, B, or C? That is the question. A, B, or C? Now, I'm quite tall, but I'm not tall enough to be a professional basketball player. So, all right, but I'm pretty tall and I did play basketball. Now, tell me in the chat, do you play basketball? All right, how tall are you? Are you tall? Are you mid height? Are you short? Share. The important thing is here's to share, to write. yes, the Celtics, right? You know who this man is? You know who this player is? This is Larry Bird, the Birdman, a legend, a legend. So choose A, B, or C, and choose wisely. Choose wisely. And remember the rules that I told you. All right. So, I was pretty good. I was pretty good when I wasn't the best. All right. Now I'm a meter 94. You say, wow, that's super tall. You could be a professional basketball player. Not really. You got to be at least 2 meters tall. Right. Now, of course, there's always exceptions, right? But for my position and for my movement and my, I wasn't, I could have been a point guard, right? But I don't have the agility of a point guard, right? So basically, I had to be taller. So if I were, right? So the first part is not was, that's not correct, right? If I were, so A is out. If I were taller, then the question is, would you say I would probably or I probably would? Now, with this, you put the adverb of probability here, which is probably. The adverb goes between would and the verb. I would probably play. I would simply go. I would kindly ask. So there's two verbs, would and, in this case, play. Probably goes between the two. So the adverb goes between the verbs. Would, probably. Would go. So would probably go. Would simply do. Would, I would probably buy. If I had $1 billion, I would probably buy a private jet, right? Because then I can save time. I can travel. I can see everyone. I can see all my friends all over the world. And, right, but I don't have $1 billion, right? But if I did, I would buy a private jet. So I would probably and then verb. Okay, that's what you need to remember. All right, let's see who else is joining us here. Fantastic. Good job, guys. Good job. We're making progress. All right, so I don't know what happened here with the picture. Sorry. So he was so tired. He, sorry. You can't see this one. You can't see this one. Sorry about that. The picture is actually blocking the third option. But let me see. Maybe we can put it in the he and then space. So tired. If he space to bed earlier. So option, he was so tired he would get to bed earlier. He would. He would so tired if he went to bed earlier. He wouldn't be so tired if he went to bed earlier. So if you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, sorry, right, the editing here is off, so you don't see the third option. But if you're in class, if you're part of the community, then you can see the answers underneath. you can see the answers and you can see he's very tired. And right now, here you're saying, remember, find the if and then make sure that it's followed by the past simple. All right. Maria says, if I had more money, I would definitely buy a garden. That's nice. That's a good dream, right? That's a good dream, right? That's nice. So he wouldn't be so tired if he went to bed earlier. Right? He wouldn't be so tired. He wouldn't be. Right? He is tired, but he wouldn't be so tired if he went. If plus past simple, if he went. You can start the sentence with that. If he went to bed earlier, he would not be so tired. Right? He would not be, or he wouldn't be so tired if he went to bed earlier. What about you? Do you go to bed early? Let me know in the chat. Right? Very good. Next one. So a lot of people say, well, all of these conversations that people have are so superficial. They're so superficial, guys. Well, if more people reading books, right? If more people read books, if more people read books, we'd get deeper conversations, we'd make deeper conversations, or we'd have deeper conversations. A, B, or C. Right? If more people reading books, read books, or read books, so it's we'd, right, which is we would, but with a contraction, we would get deeper conversations, we would make deeper conversations, or we would have deeper conversations. So some people, so you can say instead of sleep late, that's okay, it's understandable. Say you sleep in. And so remember, if you sleep in, that means you wake up late. So do you like to sleep in? I like to sleep in on Mondays. Mondays, not on the weekend, right? But Mondays, I sleep in. That's my treat. Once a week, I wake up early almost every day, but on Mondays, I wake up whenever I want to. Sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 9:30 in winter, sometimes it can be even 10. But it's the only day. Every other day, I wake up at 7:30. 7:30 in the morning, but on Mondays, I stay in bed. I sleep in. Right? I sleep in. What about you guys? All right. So this one is about conversations. If more people read books, more people read books, right? So it's, I read, so read, read, read. I read books every day. I read a book yesterday, right? I've read many books in my life. So this read and read are spelled the same way, but one, I read every day, that's present simple. I read a book yesterday, that's past simple. I've read a lot of books in my life, that is present perfect. I have read. So in this case is if plus past simple. If more people read books, we would have deeper conversations. Now, do you agree with this? Do you agree with this statement? I asked this in one of my in one of my discussion groups, right? So some people were complaining and said, "Hey, conversations nowadays are so shallow. I want to have deep conversations." And I said, "Well, what do we need to do? What do we need to do in order to have deeper conversations?" And some people were saying that if we read more books, if more people, if we had an intellectual culture, right, if more people read books, we would have better and deeper conversations, right? That's I think that's right. That sounds right to me. Do you agree? Mm, right. You see, it's we need this cultural capital, right? We need knowledge. That's right, common. We need to have knowledge, right? So people say, "Well, I want to be a better conversationalist. What can I do?" Well, you can start by reading, right? You can start by reading deep books, and then it reading really it stimulates your intellect, where you get to tap into the the mind of a writer. And you can get to tap into the genius of a writer. So you get to learn how they see life. That's what's great about reading. People just say, "Oh, well, it's just information." No, it's not, guys. It's not only information, right? It's a way of thinking. So let's say, you want to improve, right, your thinking. You want to see life differently. You want to be inspired. Well, when you read a book, especially the classics, right, you you don't just get information. You're not just saying, "Oh yeah, this boy went to school and then he had dinner." No, no, no. You analyze the thought process of the writer, right? And when you when you understand how the writer thinks, and you understand how he thinks by reading, then you tap into the genius. You're like, "Wow, I I never saw things that way. I never, and the thing is, especially if it's one of the classics, if it's something from, if you're looking at, yeah, now, Charles Dickens, all right, or Mark Twain, or Dostoevsky, right? All these great, all the French writers, Victor Hugo, Alexandre Dumas, right? I love it. They were real geniuses. Their minds were on a whole different level. Well, you have these books where you get to tap into their mind, right? It's a lot of them are free. A lot of them are free online because they were written a long time ago. So the copyrights, um, so they don't have copyrights anymore, right? So that's what reading does to you, right? It's not just for information; it's to elevate your intellect. Now, if you could live, if you would live, if you would be live in any time period, which one would you choose and why? So, two parts here. Part one is the grammar, choose the correct construction. And part two is answer. Which time period would you choose? Would you choose? Right? What time period would you choose if you could live in any time period? Imagine we had time travel. Imagine time travel were real, right? You can choose to go to the Middle Ages. You could choose to travel to La Belle Époque, to Renaissance. Maybe you would like to go to the future. Maybe you would like to travel to the future, right? If you could, would, or would be live in any time period, which one would it be? All right. I'm an encyclopedia. Oh wow, that's a nice compliment. Thank you, Maria. Now, I do like knowledge. I must confess. I do like to learn. Do I know everything? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I do know a little bit, right? And I'm always learning. But thank you for the compliment. I take that, it's I take that very graciously. So thank you, for complimenting my intellect. But I'm still learning. I'm still a student of life. As we all are. As we all are. Mm, there was this very nice I don't know where it's from, but it's a metaphor. And here, 5 points to whoever can figure this out where it's from. But basically, it was one of these mystics or writers that everyone was like, "Wow, you're so knowledgeable." And he said he went to the sea, right, to the ocean. He grabbed a glass, and then he filled it with water, and he says, "Look, the sea, that's all the knowledge, right? But this right here is what you can know, right? So basically, there's so much knowledge out there. There's so much information. There's so much, to know there, but we can't know everything, right? The sea, that's all the knowledge there is, but the only thing that we can know fits inside the glass." All right, so here, let's look at some comments. All right. Irena says, if I could live in any time period, I would choose the end of the 19th century. Ooh, la belle époque. And the beginning of the 20th century. Some people say that that was one of the greatest time periods. I agree, right? A lot of things happened in culture, art, and technology too. It's true. And it was a period of peace. That was before the Great War, which I don't know why they call it the Great War, the First World War. It wasn't great, it was terrible. But they called it the Great War. They called it the war to end all wars. Because after that, they said, you know what? After this war, and it's impossible to have any wars after this. But then, 2 decades later, you got another one, right? And here we are today. We haven't learned our lesson, but that's. But yeah, it was a great time. Art, culture, music, architecture, right? There was peace. There was technology. Yeah, I agree. Right, the Art Nouveau movement. Right, cinema came in the 1895. We talked about that. The cinema. It was great. It was great. Right. Yes, yes, yes. Nice. So Maria would like to travel to the beginning of time. That's it. That would be interesting, right? That would be very interesting. So where, what time period would you choose if you had the chance to Time travel. All right, let's see. Oh, Agnes is here. Welcome, Agnes. Welcome, Patrick. Elena. Very nice. Sindelar. George is here. Welcome, George. Awesome. Yes, Patrick. Bonjour. Hola. Hello, my friend. Yes, yes, yes. We got our multilingual polyglots here. Just like myself. We are all polyglots. So they were more successful. They would more successful. They would be more successful if they would take, if they took, or if they took more risks. So this sentence right here is a very interesting one. It talks about risk and success. People say, well, you don't have to risk, right, to be successful. Right, you don't have to risk. Now, you tell me here in the chat. First of all right, so the previous poll, everyone got it right. This one, A, B, or C. Choose the correct option if you're in class. If you're on social media, you can choose the correct option. Right? And this one talks about success and risk. Now, risk is one of these things that, this is why risk management is so important. Right? Because managing risk is very important when you invest, when you start a business, when you do anything in life. You have to risk, right? And some people say that the more, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. An investment, that is, sometimes the riskiest investments are the ones that end up being the most rewarding. All righty, have a good one, comment. Take care. Have a good time. Good to see you guys here. So here, the correct answer is C. They would be more successful if they took more risks. Right, now tell me in the chat right here, what do you think about risk? Is risk necessary to be successful? Can you be successful without risking anything? Right, think about it. Think about it. Right, with investments, with businesses, sometimes you do have to risk. Right? There's always an element of risk. You just have to manage it. But right, some people say no, just stay safe. Stay safe and don't risk. Don't risk and stay safe. But then there's always the question. Well, they could have become more successful had they risked more. But that's a third conditional. I digress. All right, so life was much easier. Life would be much easier if we wouldn't need money to survive, if we didn't need money to survive. A or B, guys, choose the correct option. A or B, choose the correct option, and then tell me if you agree. Sometimes you have to take risks to get what you want. That's true. That is absolutely true. Very nice. So great comments here in the chat. All right, I like that. I like to see participation. Yes, very good, Patrick. See, that is correct. All right. Now, look at this poor little girl right here. She's got no money. She's got no money, and she's like, life was much easier, would be much easier if we didn't need. Which option is correct, guys? All right, which option is correct? All right, very nice, guys. Very, very nice. All right. So 50% got it right. 50% chose A, 50% chose B. The correct answer is B. Life would be much easier if we didn't need money to survive. Now, this is not my sentence, that's this girl's sentence, this lady's sentence. It's now, what do you think? Do you think life would be easier if we didn't have any money? If money didn't exist, would life be easier in that case, in that situation? Would it be easier or would it be harder? Right? Because how do you get things? Right? How do you exchange things? Right? Do you say, "Oh, well, here I've got this. I'll give you this, and you give me a burger." Okay, right. So sometimes it can work. You can barter, but do you think life would be easier or harder if money didn't exist? Anastasia is here. Welcome, Anastasia. You got here at the end of class, but it's okay. Better late than never. What would happen or what happened if nobody followed, if nobody would follow the rules? So we have rules in society, right? We have rules, we have laws. That's what keeps order. But question here, what would happen or what happened if nobody would follow, if nobody followed? All right, choose the correct option, A or B, guys. Yes, we're covering the second conditional. But don't worry, this video will be up for everyone who missed it. It will be, yeah, we were supposed to start at 6. We started a little bit late because my meetings, they ran late. There's always something that gets in the way. But so we started a little bit late, but I wanted to make sure that you get your English lesson in. That's the key. That's the key. All right, so fantastic. What would happen if nobody followed the rules? Okay, how many people earned points? Okay, 50% of you earned a point, 50% of you lost a point. Okay. Well, don't give up. Don't give up. If you're here, just keep earning your points. Let me explain this. What would happen? So remember, if is always followed by the past simple. If nobody followed, people think, oh, if nobody would follow, but that's not correct. It's if plus past simple. If nobody followed the rules, what would happen? Think about that. Think about that. A lot of people say, oh, a world without any rules would be amazing. We'd be so free. Everyone would be so free, right? But ask yourself, is that the kind of world you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world without any rules, without any order, complete chaos, right? Now, maybe in a perfect world where everyone would be holding hands and singing kumbaya, maybe, maybe in a perfect world, we wouldn't need rules. Some people say, hey, we don't need rules. We can just hold hands and sing kumbaya, and that would solve every problem in the world. Now, it sounds nice. I'm not sure it's technically correct, but it sounds nice, right? But rules, exist for a reason. I like to live in an orderly world. I like to, you know, I like to go out and be like, okay, I can function. Right? I know that when I'm driving, people will stop when the Well, people will stop at a red light, right? People will follow the speed limits, or most people would, right? People will pay for what they want at the store. Right? These are rules, right? So that's interesting. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so what would happen in the world if it weren't so hot? Ooh, okay, that's a correct sentence. No, I don't know. What would happen? That's a good question. All right, would we just freeze to death? Right? What would happen if the global temperature, if there was global cooling, right? So instead of the world warming up, the world would be cooling down. And there have been periods of time where the world cooled for a while. So, would you travel more if flights was cheaper? If flights were cheaper, A or B? Right. So some people are complaining about the prices. Actually, flights aren't too bad. Right? Flights aren't too bad. Right? It's the accommodation that's just ridiculous. Right? Hotel prices are ridiculous. Right? Flights are actually it, it's so funny because it used to be, you know, back in the day, flights were the number one expense when you had to travel. Just like, oh, the most expensive thing was the flight, but that's changed. Now flights are cheap, right? What's expensive now? The accommodation is expensive, right? Hotels are expensive, right? And activities and entertainment, that's expensive. Flights are cheap, right? And so it used to be that, like, oh wow, it's so cheap to, the prices are down, so let's travel. That's the main thing, right? But now things have changed. So correct. If flights were, very nice, guys. Okay, last one. If you would meet your favorite celebrity, if you met your favorite celebrity, or if you meet your favorite celebrity, right? What would you say to them? A, B, or C, guys? Right? A, B, or C? All right, so fantastic. Choose the one and also answer. What would you say to hello to Barslan? Welcome to class. Welcome to class. How's it going? All righty. All righty, guys. Hmm. Traveling with dogs is expensive. It's true, Maria. That's true. If you've got some dogs, then you can either take them to a dog hotel or take them with you. But that could be tricky because not all hotels allow pets, unfortunately. Right, so if you met, guys, not meet, remember it's the past, if plus past. If you met your favorite celebrity, what would you say to them? All right, so tell me, what would you say to have you ever wondered? Imagine you're just walking on the street and your favorite celebrity, you know, just pops out of nowhere. They just, you just bump into your favorite celebrity. What would you say? What would you say? All right, guys. So if you want to join our private WhatsApp community where you get lots of content every single day, content challenges, right? Um, a community, people from all around the world that you can speak to, right? A speaking club, Zoom lessons, direct access to me. All of this right here, guys, in the WhatsApp group. Right, so drop a message, send me a DM, send me a private message, or drop a comment, whatever you want. Just let me know that you want to join the WhatsApp group, right? Because I will help you learn English. Right? You need a system, right? You need a community. You need to join the WhatsApp group so that you can get the structure to get results. Right? If you don't have a structure, you're not going to get results. Right? So, very nice, everyone. Good job. Good job for everyone who participated in the chat. You did great. You did great. Right? And hope you enjoyed class. Right? And practice. I will post the challenge in the WhatsApp group right now. You're going to get a challenge. So check the WhatsApp group. You're going to have a challenge based on today's lesson. So your homework, right, your challenge, it's going to be in the chat. You're going to have to record a message using the second conditional. Right. So but I'll post that in the WhatsApp group so that everyone can, participate in the challenge. Okay. So very good, everyone. Take care. Have a great night. I will see you guys tomorrow. And tomorrow we are going to go live, I think either directly on Instagram or on TikTok. So, right, on TikTok, I've got more followers there. I've got 15,000 followers on TikTok, and I can't connect my software to TikTok live. So if I want to go live on TikTok, I need to go directly. I need to be live directly on the platform. So I'll decide, but I will tell you in the WhatsApp group. I'll tell you if I will go live on Instagram or on TikTok. Okay, so take care, everyone. Good to see you. And as always, guys, have a great night and bye-bye. Bye-bye.